In the late 1960s through the 1980s, the Trijet filled a very specific and highly valuable corner of commercial aviation. It wasn't built for glamour, it was built to solve the regulatory and engineering constraints of the time. Before ETOPS, twin-engine aircraft operating long over-water segments had to remain within 60 minutes of a diversion airport. For many transatlantic routes in the 1970s, this meant detours so inefficient that they could wipe out a flight's profitability. Airlines needed more range and more route freedom, but the economics of four-engine aircraft, the 747, DC-863, Air 300 competitors, were too punishing unless the route was dense and reliably full. The answer became a three-engine configuration that offered safety margins impossible for twins and better economics than quads. From roughly 1972 to 1990, Trijets became the default aircraft for long, thin international routes where reliability mattered more than size. They fit between early twin jets like the 727 and the large quad jets of the era. Three engines met redundancy requirements for oceanic flight without the fuel burn of a four-engine type. This made routes practical that would otherwise have been uneconomical or forbidden. Aircraft like the L-1011 and DC-10 took over city pairs such as Los Angeles-Honolulu, New York-Lisbon, and Western Europe-Middle East sectors operated by Swissair, KLM, and SAS. They enabled carriers to serve Detroit-Tokyo, Dallas-Paris, and numerous transoceanic links where a 747 was too large and a twin simply wasn't legal. This created a seat count and range sweet spot, 250 to 320 passengers with 5,000 to 7,000 kilometer capability depending on the variant. Major global airlines built entire network strategies around them. Delta, TWA, Eastern, BA, Cathay, JAL, KLM, Air Canada, Swissair, Lufthansa, Saudia, Qantas, Air New Zealand, American, and others. The market didn't collapse because Trijets were bad airplanes. It collapsed because they were surpassed. The high-bypass turbofan revolution of the mid-1980s onward brought engines such as the GE90, Rolls-Royce Trent family, and Pratt & Whitney PW4000, which offered dramatic efficiency gains and extraordinarily low shutdown rates. The safety case for a third engine evaporated. Policy changes followed the technology. ETOPS 120 approvals arrived in the mid-1980s, ETOPS 180 became standard by the late 1990s, and by 2015, the A350 entered service with ETOPS 370 certification. A twin could now fly almost any route an L-1011 or DC-10 could, and do it cheaper. Structurally, a third engine added drag, weight, inspections, spare parts burden, and 8 to 12% higher direct operating cost. With margins measured in single digits, the Trijet became unsellable. By the 2000s, Lockheed had exited commercial aviation, McDonnell Douglas had disappeared into Boeing, and British Aerospace had ended their Trijet lines. The configuration died because its niche no longer existed. But the niche that killed the Trijet was a specific one: 250 to 300 seats, 5,000 to 7,000 kilometers oceanic redundancy. Today, a different segment is emerging, and it is not well served by current twin jets or quad jets. A modern Trijet would not compete with the 767, 777, A300, or 787. Its opportunity lies in the ultra-large, ultra-long-range, high-density missions at the top of the market. The first candidate is the A380 and 747 replacement space. Even though A380 production ended in 2021, demand remains for 450-plus seat aircraft on slot-restricted trunk routes: Dubai Heathrow, Singapore London, Hong Kong Los Angeles, Tokyo Honolulu, Seoul San Francisco, Sydney Los Angeles. Airlines still need very large capacity without the four-engine penalty. A 500, 600-seat Trijet could sit between the 777X and A380, delivering capacity with fewer engines and potentially better economics. The second candidate is the ultra-long, thin route sector. Flights like Perth-London, Doha-Auckland, and Dubai-Panama stretch aircraft to 14 to 15,000 plus kilometers. Twins can fly them, but often at maximum thrust settings for 17 to 19 hours. That increases wear, maintenance, and fuel burn. A modern Trijet with two large high-bypass engines and a smaller centerline engine could distribute power more efficiently, reduce continuous stress on the mains, provide stronger engine-out margins, and support higher MTOW with less penalty. The third candidate is the superfreighter and mixed payload market. Cargo carriers are signaling interest in an aircraft larger than a 777F, but more cost-effective than a 747.F. A Trijet could deliver structural advantages for extremely long fuselages, payloads above 200 tons, and specialized cargo like turbines, aerospace assemblies, or humanitarian equipment. With one fewer engine than a quad and better thrust distribution than a twin, it could offer a balance of redundancy and economy that freighters value. These emerging needs define a realistic design envelope: 350 to 600 passengers, 13 to 16,000 kilometer range, and MTOW in the 450 to 650 ton region. Freighter versions could support 120 to 200 tons of payload. This sits directly between what twins and quads do well. Today's twins approach the limit of available thrust and ETOPS complexity on the largest missions. Quadjets burn too much fuel to remain viable. In the gap between maximum capacity and long-haul efficiency is a narrow but real space where a modern trijet could be engineered to make sense, not as a revival of the old L-1011 DC-10 role, but as a new class answering questions at the top end of global air transport. A very large aircraft is the clearest proving ground for a trijet concept because its thrust requirements, wing loading, and structural demands expose the strengths and weaknesses of different three-engine architectures. The A380 illustrates what happens when an airframe is locked into four equal underwing engines, while the 777X footprint shows how a slightly smaller platform might exploit the advantages of a trijet without carrying the dead weight of a full quad. Using both as reference points, three blended paths emerge. The first path could be a clean-sheet wide-body trijet modeled around an A380 class mission but freed from four-pod symmetry. Two high-thrust underwing turbofans would handle all cruise work, while a large centerline engine, mounted high in the tail or fed through an S-duct, would provide the remaining thrust margin needed for takeoff and climb. This architecture demands heavy structural reinforcement of the vertical tail and rear fuselage, and it forces stabilizer redesign to counteract pitching moments from a high-mounted thrust source. A clean-sheet aircraft of this scale would likely favor a single-deck, narrower cross-section to recover drag efficiency, seating somewhere between 450 and 600 passengers. Range would remain similar to an A380, but the wing and center wing box geometry would be completely reworked around a three-engine thrust distribution. When applied to the 777X size class instead of the A380, the concept becomes more balanced. Two GE9X class mains and a mid-size third engine reduce takeoff thrust demands, improve engine-out climb performance, and extend maintenance intervals by lowering turbine temperatures. In both size categories, this architecture is the most straightforward expression of a true large trijet. For the second path, the airframe could adopt an underwing tripod architecture. Instead of sending the third engine into the tail, all three engines would be mounted under the wing, left, right, and center. On an A380 scale platform, this eliminates the need for extreme tail reinforcement, but forces a widened center wing box and a complete rethink of spar geometry to support a heavy central engine. Ground clearance becomes critical. The center pod must be high enough to avoid rotation strikes while still remaining serviceable. Aerodynamic balance, flutter margins, and fuel plumbing complexity all increase. On a 777X scale platform, the penalties shrink but do not disappear. The center pod alters wing bending modes and may shift the entire aeroelastic behavior of the wing. This path reduces the complexity of a tail-mounted engine, but introduces new structural, aerodynamic, and integration burdens that would have to be justified by measurable field performance gains. For the third path, a hybrid assist trijet could merge concepts from both the A380 and 777X studies. Two large underwing engines would be sized primarily for cruise, while a third electrically driven unit, not a full turbofan, would activate only for takeoff and initial climb. For an A380 class frame, downsizing the main engines from roughly 70 to 75,000 pound-force to roughly 55 to 60,000 pound-force equivalents improves long cruise SFC without hurting runway performance. The electric booster supplies the missing takeoff thrust margin. On the 777X class airframe, the effect is even more pronounced. The GE9X class cores could be optimized for cruise, improving fuel burn and extending maintenance intervals. The persistent obstacle is energy storage. Current battery density cannot sustain the required short-duration power without prohibitive mass, and thermal management remains a limiting factor. Hydrogen-fed auxiliary units or future high-density energy systems could make this path viable, but near-term feasibility is restricted to short-duration boost rolls. Across all three paths, several common outcomes surface. Weight savings are possible when replacing 4 heavy cores with a 2+1 layout, especially when the main engines are downsized for cruise. Maintenance overhead drops from 4 engines to 3, though third engine placement can introduce new cost centers. A well-optimized trijet may beat a quad on fuel burn on many missions, and in some cases, even challenge large twins, particularly when payload, redundancy, climb performance, and hot and high field performance outweigh absolute seat-mile efficiency. But no path avoids the fundamental constraint. Large twins like the 777X remain brutally efficient, and any trijet must earn its structural penalties through real-world performance gains. A large trijet, whether sized like an A380 or a 777X, is technically feasible, operationally niche, and economically dependent on whether its redundancy, climb capability, and cruise optimization can outweigh the structural mass and integration complexity required to carry a third power plant.